Hello Eurovision fans, thank you so much for coming to my channel Eurovision Histories. Today I want to do another one of my nerdy statistics videos. I did a lot of them over the summer, so if you haven't seen them, check them out. And I kind of prepared one which is national language percentage, meaning which country has performed the most in its national language and which country the least. Make your predictions in the comments before the video starts. And I kind of prepared this and forgot to do it, and now the 2024 season is rolling around, kind of eclipsing me. So I am recording this and I want you to see it before more songs of 2024 get released and change the data. So what I did is look at all the entries since 1999, because obviously before that you had to sing in your national language. 2020 doesn't count as the contest didn't actually happen. And if a song is in more than one language, I used fractions. Now, what you will see is percentages for each country. So these percentages tell you how many times a country has performed in its national language, and anything that is left over is either English or another language that the country performed in, and I will be talking about that as well. You see these three: Australia, the United Kingdom, and Ireland. Obviously, English is their official language, and they performed in it 100% of the time. However, I left them out of the competition because most countries want to perform in English, and so giving them the win in this doesn't seem right to me. So the first country in 40th position is Sweden. They have 0% national language. Now, there's a lot of Sweden bashing in the Eurovision world because of them winning 7 times with very mainstream pop songs, sometimes against fan favorites. I don't join in the Sweden bashing because I think if they find the right song that convinces most juries and most viewers, they are the rightful winner. However, there's one thing that I do criticize, and this is exactly what that is. 0% national language is a bit sad to me, and I kind of hope that in 2024 that changes and they choose a Swedish entry, an entry in Swedish, to represent them in Malmö. They've won 7 times, they're hosting again. I think they can take that leap of faith. Then we have Malta. Obviously, English is also the national language in Malta, so they should technically not be on here, but Maltese is also an official language, and they did sing part of the song in 2000 in Maltese, so I did include it. However, that only is enough for 2% national language. Then we have Norway, 4.2%. They sung in Swahili as well, but in Norwegian only 4.2%, one single time since 1999. Then we have Denmark. They, of course, had Fyr og Flamme, which sung in Danish, but also only one single time. I think it should say 4.2% as well. Then in 36th position, we have Latvia with 4.3%, only performing in Latvian once. However, they did have a song in Italian, Questa Notte, and in Russian as well, Probka. Now, you can already see in the first 5 countries that I've revealed that kind of the Nordic countries are the ones that prefer very much to sing in English, and the Baltics are joining in as well. Then in 35th position, we have Belarus, 6.3% in a national language. Then Germany, 7.6%. The last song that was 100% in German was in 1998. After that, we had lots of songs with 2 songs with Turkish in them in 2003 and 1999, and most of the 7.6% that are in German were mixed songs, bilingual songs. Even Michelle with Wer Liebe lebt, a song that was originally completely in German, she added a few parts in English in the live performance as well. Then we have the Netherlands with 8.7%, most recently, of course, S10 with the beautiful song De Diepte. However, also the Netherlands kind of preferring to sing in English. Then we have Belgium, a very interesting case, only 8.7% in a national language, and that is in French. However, they have sung twice in an imaginary language. They would be winning that statistics video. And yeah, they even came second, I think, in 2003 with an imaginary language. Then in 31st position, we have Romania. They have only sung in Romanian 8.9% of the time. However, they had a song, Todo Mundo, in Spanish, Italian, English, Romanian, Russian, French. So 6 languages in one song. I think that might be a record. And then they also usually a lot of times use Italian and Spanish in their songs. Tornero, for example, is in Italian, and Hola mi bebé obviously has some parts in Spanish. That may have to do with the fact that Romanian is also a Romance language, just like Italian and Spanish. Then in 30th position, we have Czechia. 11.4% were in Czech of their entries. Russia, 12.5% only. Then we have Estonia, also 12.5%. However, they had Leto Sweat, which was partly in German, Finnish, and Serbian. And then you had Elina Nachayeva with a song in Italian. I might have to do another statistics video about the countries that sang the most times in Italian, actually. Italian seems to be the second most popular language next to English to sing in. Then we have Iceland, 12.8%, quite above the other Nordics, Denmark, Sweden, and Norway. They do send an Icelandic song from time to time. My personal favorite would be Eg Alif. Then you have Lithuania with 15.2% in national languages. And then we get to the top 25, Austria, 15.8% in German. However, they also had one song in French by Zoe called Loin d'ici. Then Ukraine performed in Ukrainian 17.6% of the time. They also performed in Krim Tatar, and there was some counting in German for Verka Seduchka. Of course, we all remember that. Then we have San Marino singing in Italian 19.2% of the time, Greece singing in Greek 20.5% of the time, and Cyprus very close, 22.7%. Next up, we have Poland, 23.1%. They performed percent of the time they performed in Polish. However, they also had Ich Treue, which performed 2 entries they had in German, Russian, and Polish, and they also had one song partly in Spanish as well. The next country is Switzerland. Only 23.8% of the time they performed in a national language, even though they have 4 to choose from. 3 times they performed in French and once in Italian, never in German, and some of them were also mixed. So that gets us to 23.8%. Then we have Finland, the highest of the Nordics, with 23.8%. They like to perform in Finnish, some of the time, Kerje, of course, Tres Betoni, but also one time in Swedish, which is also an official language of Finland. Then in 17th place, we have Bulgaria, 32.1%. Of the entries were performed in Bulgarian. Turkey performed 39.2% of their entries in Turkish. Then we get to Israel, 40% in Hebrew. North Macedonia, 40.4% in Macedonian. And the 60% missing are not all in English. There was also some in Romani, which was really nice in 2013. Then we have Hungary, 46.1% in Hungarian. Also one song partly in Romani. And then we have Albania, 47.3% in Albanian. Probably has to do with the fact that the song is chosen through Festivali Kengish, where it has to be performed in Albanian. Then in 11th place, we have Slovenia, 47.8%. And we kind of stay in that general region of the world. Slovakia, they didn't have a lot of entries. I think it was 4 since 1999, but half of them were performed in Slovak. Then Montenegro, also half of them in Montenegrin. Then 50% of Bosnia's songs were performed in Bosnian. Croatia, 59.5% in Croatian. And then we have Andorra with 66.6% of the songs performed in Catalan. Of course, Catalan has a long history with Eurovision. The Spanish entry in 1968 was supposed to be performed in Catalan. Then Franco intervened and it was performed in Spanish. And then the first time we heard Catalan on a Eurovision stage was because of Andorra. And here you can see that the former Yugoslav countries are very much proud of their language and their heritage, which I find really cool as well, not just because I'm learning one of the languages. Then we have, you can already see the percentage of the next country. Anyway, we have France in 5th position with 72.9%. Of course, France is very proud of its language. However, they also had some entries in Corsican and Breton, of course. And the only entry that was fully in English was in 2008, but 72.9% in French. Then next up we have Serbia with 78.1% of their entries performed in Serbian, and the 22% are not all English. We also have Latin for Constructa, for example. Now we're getting to the top 3, and you might already know who they are. Portugal is in 3rd position with 85%. That might have to do with the national final being Festival da Canção, where songs in Portuguese are very much preferred, I do think. By the way, I forgot Monaco, which would have been in 4th place after Portugal. However, they also only had 3 attempts since 1999, so it doesn't hurt that much that I forgot them. Sorry, anyway. Then in 2nd position, we have, well, shared 1st position, actually, we have Spain with 87.5% of the songs being performed completely in Spanish or partly in Spanish, and the rest are all English. Surprisingly, even though Spain has a lot of regional languages with Galician, with Catalan, it never sent, or Basque, for example, it never sent a song in one of these regional languages, but either Spanish or English. And then in 1st position, shared with Spain, we have Italy, which has 87.5% of its song in the national language. I think it's quite interesting that the more south you go, the more you have songs performed in national languages. For Italy, that might have to do with Sanremo being the selection method for Eurovision. And also the more east you go, especially southeast in the Balkan region, you also get a lot of percentage of national final songs, whereas the Nordics, Western Europe, and Central Europe, like Germany, Austria, Switzerland, really very much prefer to sing in English. This is my video for today. Let me know in the comments whether you prefer national languages or songs in English, and I will see you for my next video. See you then, and bye-bye.